are joining us on live stream. And thanks to all of you who are joining us in person. My name is Christian Dawson. I'm Executive Director of the Internet Infrastructure Coalition. And we are together to celebrate 10 years of i2C. It's our 10th year as a trade association, as a singular voice for the companies that build the infrastructure of the internet. We are here to make sure that the internet stays free and open as a source of innovation, and that all the amazing things that we got to get out of the internet continue to flourish. Small businesses continue to be able to start internet companies, innovate, and bring us all amazing things. We built this thing 10 years ago, and I am excited that we get to begin our program today. We get to start where we started 10 years ago by giving an award to a gentleman who helped us get our beginning. We were an organization that was born out of the fight against PIFA and SOA. The Protect IP Act and the Stop Online Piracy Act, two pieces of legislation that were, I think, in many ways well-intentioned. They were designed to deal with problems that existed on the internet, but that didn't have a clear understanding of how the internet functioned. And that was because, frankly, the kinds of companies that are represented in this room, we weren't there. We didn't have a voice. We weren't meeting with legislators and regulators and teaching them how this stuff worked. And so the people who were there, intellectual property owners, they were there and they were explaining what their problems were. And I think legislators were trying to solve those problems in earnest. But when you are dealing with situations where you only have one side of the story and when you don't understand the full picture, you're going to end up with bad outcomes. So we saw a situation wherein we had these pieces of legislation that, if enacted, were going to significantly change our abilities to continue to provide services to all of our customers. It was going to significantly change how the internet operated, and we needed to do something, but we didn't have a voice. Well, somebody who did understand this stuff and was willing to bring us to the table and give us a voice back in the day is Congressman Darrell Issa, who is an award recipient for a Champion of the Internet Award that we're giving out today. I'm going to bring him up in a moment. First, I'm going to say a couple of more nice things about him. Congressman Issa worked with us to fight attempts to stifle innovation and protect the future of the internet. He understood the needs of small tech businesses to continue to have intermediary protections. He was our champion in the PIFA and SOPA fight that we will be forever grateful. That's not all he's done for tech. As a patent owner himself, he's led on patent reform, understanding the toll that patent trolling has on technical industries, and fighting for ways to address patent issues in ways that lower costs for companies fighting costly and meritless lawsuits. His role is as a tech entrepreneur. And that's informed his work to champion causes that have helped tech entrepreneurs, including our internet infrastructure companies, to make sure that they continue to flourish. He's carried the same tech perspective and small business focus into his work as ranking member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts, the Internet, and Intellectual Property. We continue to appreciate being able to dialogue with him on the needs of internet intermediaries as the internet changes. Also, I want to say, before we bring him up, that he hires really well. He works with incredible staffers who get it, who we've had close relationships over the years. That includes Tyler Grimm, Ellen Schrantz, Laurent Crenshaw, and now Veronica Wong and Jennifer Haynes, who have been amazing collaborators with us over the years. So for that reason and many more, we'd like to present you our Champion of the Internet Award, and thank you for your service.
Oh, I can just live up to the introduction. So you did say I was only going to do half an hour. And by the way, Julie, I was not one of those people that became afraid to come out and hunkered down because of COVID. But I met a lot of them. It's great that we're all together. It's also great that the internet was stress tested by COVID. That to a great extent, we all just had an opportunity to see some of the vulnerabilities. And one of the vulnerabilities that I want to talk at for just a moment, because I'm never to be a visionary, which means that the last 10 years doesn't count, okay? But the next 10 years does. We are under an attack that SOPA and HIPAA never really understood. We are having this tremendous debate between those who hate Twitter because it's left wing, and those who hate Google and all the other large tech companies because they're profitable. And quite frankly, there's a third group, which are the small people who on one hand want to grow to be bought out by them, and on the other hand are angry that they bought out so many other companies that they've already taken a lot of great ideas. Now, that's an amazing point to get to. We are literally under attack by our own success. Everything that has happened, the power that has happened in these companies, the importance of the internet, the importance of what it can do and what it can stop, what it can fail to do, all the flaws now have become so important that not only is Congress looking at it, but we're all looking at it. We cannot let success cause us to be afraid of more success. And that's exactly where we are. Do we change the antitrust laws to break up Google into 1 million pieces and Facebook into a few hundred, and Twitter just sell that off to a guy who rocketed into space with it? I knew you'd like that. I was worried. Maybe we do. But the one thing we can't do is let Congress or any other entity act to stifle the on-ramps to innovation. Whether those on-ramps do lead to being sold to Microsoft, or those on-ramps lead to a whole new great company that basically dwarfs Microsoft or makes Microsoft into a dwarf, doesn't really matter. What matters is we've got to have this capability. What that means is that Congress has to avoid the two things it does well: nothing at all and overreact. The nothing at all means that when we do look at legitimate areas that are clogging or blocking off, when you have a stifling of free speech, we have to look at it. When you have actual barriers to entry that are being used systematically to stop innovation, we have to look at it. But we also have to resist the urge to say, just because we don't like something, or just because something's become too big. Now, many of you go back a ways in technology, but I'll just challenge you. My first modem was 66 baud. When I went to work for the government, we had a $10,000 a month line that was 300 baud synchronous. Most people don't even know what a baud is, okay, because we're into mega bauds, if you will. But a 66 baud was a teletype, and it changed the world. 300 baud is how the internet actually connected synchronously between universities to advance science. What we have ahead of us right now is absolutely unlimited bandwidth. It doesn't feel like it every day, especially right now because I'm next door and the Wi-Fi here seems to be blocking me. Just so you know. It's a mesh problem. Okay, we have all of those complexities, but we are on the precipice of that next generation. That next generation of artificial intelligence and of better ideas on computers having better ideas to create better ideas that eventually we will figure out were much better ideas. That's about to happen. And it's going to happen because of the small innovator. Now, I just joked and sort of trashed going to South by Southwest because it's not cool anymore because it got too big. But I will tell you, our industry can never get too big to change lives and change the world. And I'm just going to close with one thing. If you want me to take questions, I will, or comments. Usually people tell me what I'm doing wrong succinctly. Today we have runaway inflation. Runaway inflation can be caused by a lot of things, but it's actually caused only by one thing right now. And that is the efficiency increases that we were getting so fast, we could hardly keep track of them, got derailed. Fixing inflation in no small part will come from the efficiencies of the technologies of the internet. And that is what I'm excited about. And if you look at the next 10 years, if we're going to have 8 or 10% inflation, it's going to be because we did not increase the efficiency of our planet. And if we're going to have a better life without inflation, it's going to be because we did. So that's my prediction for the next 10 years. By 10 years from now, I'd like to be a chairman, you know, so, or retire.
Actually, just one question. Just one question.
And you get it.
Yes, I think that we do. We do.
No, you get the question.
I get the question. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm taking the one question. I apologize. We have these little pins here that say "Ask me about these."
Yes.
Because we brought the nerds. We've got people here that understand how the internet works, and our goal is to make sure that we are out there communicating with legislators and regulators to make sure that they get it. And so just as you gave us great advice that led us to here, looking for the advice of who we should be talking to, what it is we should be doing to set ourselves up for that.
Well, that's actually a fairly easy one right now. Open doors are clearly what you want to walk through. So the easiest one is you say, I want to talk to you about fixing the supply chain problems using the technology of the internet and why we need greater access so we can do that. And if someone doesn't open their door and say, I want to hear you personally, go to the next door. Because if that's not the number one thing, regardless of somebody's party on their mind, then obviously they're not thinking the way you need them to think. But I will tell you, if you go to Lou Carrera, or you go to Eric Swarwell, you go to a host of other people in either party, and you tell them that that's what you're there for, and then you explain to them what you have already done, which is the secret, most people have forgotten what the internet has already done for us. You know, I can tell you, we just did a $43 billion bailout for the post office. Okay, I don't remember a $43 billion bailout for technology. Well, why? Well, because you've grown your way. Well, they're still delivering snail mail and are doing it for more money, less efficiently. But even their only cost downs they've had have been because of the technology that all of you are responsible for. So I think when you say, look, this is my experience, what my company did, or what my friends did, and this is why it made us more efficient. And now let's look at the impediments to moving it forward, or the tracks that we need to keep open and free so we can do more of this. That's where you're going to get everyone, because the reality is they want to see the deliverable, and the deliverable is, we used to, General Electric, I think it was better living through. No, it was DuPont, better living through chemicals or something. Chemistry. Okay, it's been a while, and now you could never have something better living through chemistry. It's like, wait a second. That may be what people did with LSD in college. But the fact is, you have delivered it. You're going to deliver more of it. Everyone understands it. Now people have to understand the threat. Because at the end of the day, you're walking in and you're talking about, if you do nothing and you stay out of my way, I'm probably okay. There are a few exceptions to that, but that is what you're asking for, which almost nobody does. People never come in saying, please, just let us keep innovating without your getting involved so we can do it. That only happens pretty much in this industry. And I have every other industry calling on me, and they all have a request. Our request normally is, don't screw it up.
That's our message. That's what we're here to do.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Joe, for your time. So just a little run of show. We have 3 more awards to give, and I have a few little closing comments, but I want to get everybody back to the drinks pretty quickly. Before we get into the rest of the awards, though, I am going to, in a moment, bring up a featured speaker for the evening that I am so excited about. As Representative Isaac clearly said, the past couple of years have been a litmus test for the importance of the internet in our society. It has been clear the importance that the internet has is to a level that we couldn't have even fathomed when we started 10 years ago. And I think that it's clear to everybody. There was a point where pretty much everybody was stuck in their homes and all you really had there was the internet. Literally some people, that was the only way that they were communicating with one another. Over Zoom calls, over FaceTime, these are the ways that we stayed connected. So when we were thinking about how to highlight that, we haven't been in person as a coalition since 2019. We wanted to highlight the importance of the internet during the 2 years that we've been apart. And we thought that we'd bring in a speaker that helped keep us together and connected during that period. Julie Nolte is a fabulous, incredible comedian on YouTube with a series of popular videos that became viral with, I think, most of the people that I know. They were spreading around the video series that you get. Explaining the pandemic to my past self. I get to my past self.
Yeah.
I said former self. Explain the pandemic to my past self. If you have not seen them, I'm sure you have seen them, but if you have not seen them, they are phenomenal. And these are the types of things that kept us connected with one another as we passed them along, and we felt like we were more together. So I'm asking Julie to come up here and say a few words to us.
Thank you. Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me. You guys, congratulations on 10 years. I mean, it's so cool. It's such an amazing feat. And I want to say, as a YouTube creator and an online personality, thank you for what you do, because you honestly make it possible so that people like me can create and make our dreams come true and have people find us. So give yourselves another round of applause. I wanted to give you a little bit of background. I mean, that was an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. You made me sound like a rock star. I wanted to give you a bit of background about my story, because I think it's directly related to the work that i2Coalition does. So I'm Canadian, which is why, thank you, which is why I'm so nice. I'm originally from Calgary, which is, if you're not from Canada, go fuck nowhere, really. Are you Calgarian?
No, but
Oh, okay. So in Calgary, much like in the States, if you're choosing to be in the arts, I always knew I was an artist. I knew I was a creator, but this is at the time where there was really no options except the traditional industry. So I had to be an actor. You kind of have to pick your lane. You're either a writer or you're a director or you're an actor. It doesn't matter if you want to do all things. And so ultimately, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be an actor, and in Canada, you either have to go to Vancouver or Toronto. And I went to Toronto because it was farther away from my parents and they would visit less often. So I go to university in Toronto to become an actor, and I spent way too much money rolling on the floor, crying. I broke my hand doing interpretive dance. I can't believe they can give you a degree for acting, but I managed to graduate. And once again, this is like early stages in YouTube. So my path forward to doing what was my dream, which was creation, was, okay, now I have to get an agent, and I have to start auditioning, going up in front of casting directors, and then producers have to approve me, and then networks have to approve me, and then I get to do my dream, and then I get to be famous. That's the whole goal of this whole thing. And I attempted that for a really long time. I actually attempted that for 7 years, and I did not book a single job. But and it's not for lack of trying. Like, I was auditioning. I spent a shit ton. Can I say shit ton? Well,
Absolutely.
I spent a shit ton of money on acting, but I was out of money. And during this time, I decided I wanted to take control, because I was really tired of these gatekeepers. I was tired of the agents not saying I was good enough. I was tired of the casting directors not saying I was tall enough or funny enough or whatever it was. And I wanted control because I knew I had a voice and I knew I had something to say and I wanted to share it. So I started my YouTube channel for 2 reasons. One, I needed practice in front of the camera and I ran out of money for acting classes. And two, I had shit to say. I had jokes I wanted to tell and characters I wanted to create. And so I started to make them. I started to create these little videos. And, you know, when you're making content weekly, as one does on YouTube, you kind of get good pretty fast. I mean, my writing, I was like really finding clarity in my voice, and I got to wear all the hats. I got to be the editor. I got to be the writer. I got to be the producer. And so I had built this kind of little business that was just chugging along, you know, and it was giving me that satisfied thirst quench of creativity. Cut to 2020. So just so you have reference, in 2019, I got married. And my husband and I booked our honeymoon in Japan in 2020. It was going to be beautiful for 3 weeks. And I also was turning 30 in 2020. And my mom and I booked a trip to Ukraine. We were going to go visit the homeland. And that one, unfortunately, is still not yet replanned. We'll see if that happens. But I have all these plans. March hits. And we're not even talking about traveling now. We're talking about I can't get toilet paper at the store because the shelves are empty. And I was like, this is post-apocalyptic. Like I could never convince myself in March of 2020. I didn't even know what Zoom was before March of 2020. And this idea hit me, and you referenced it. This explaining the pandemic to my past self. What if I could go back even 2 months when I was planning that stupid honeymoon? Like that seems so trivial now. And so I made this video. I post it. This is the beauty of YouTube. You get an idea, you make it, you post it. I go to bed. I go, that's another video. I'll make another one next week. I keep making videos. I get a call from my sister-in-law the next morning, and she goes, your video is blowing up on Facebook. And so I quickly go on my computer, and sure enough, Facebook does this thing where when you have like lots of people watching, you can actually see how many active people are watching at once. And I looked, and the little icon says 5,000 people. 5,000 people were sitting on their computer or on their phone watching my video right then and there. And they weren't just Canadian. They were from the UK, they were from India, they were from Vietnam, they were from Brazil. And then I get another call from my friend, and he goes, you're on the front page of Reddit. And I was like, what, like the center of the universe, right? It's like, yes. And he's like, it's not just Reddit videos, the Reddit front page. And sure enough, I was. And I go to my YouTube channel, my video has 1.5 million views, and it just skyrocketed from there. I think right now that video has over 40 million views. Oh, yeah, so surreal. But the coolest part of this whole thing is, like I said, it wasn't just Canadian. It was the world. I was having people message me. Like I couldn't even respond to all the messages saying, can we translate this? I would love to offer you the translation to put this in Turkish. I would love to offer the translation to put this, in Spanish, because I want to share it with my family. And it was kind of spiraling into this beautiful thing. And I think the video did well for a couple of reasons. One, this is the first time in my life that the entire world has been on the same page. We all collectively shared something that was relatable. We were at home. There was a lot of anxiety. There were a lot of unknowns. And my video was one of the first things that allowed people to really digest and process and have permission to laugh. And I think that's what we needed a little bit. I mean, it was reverent, still very respectful, but I think it like broke the tension a bit. And the other reason I think it did well is because, not that I don't love traditional film and television, but I do have a chip on my shoulder because I worked very hard to try and be in it, and they didn't want me. The Jimmy Fallons and the SNLs and the John Olivers of the world, they were having to make stuff from home, with one camera, with low budget. And it's like, welcome to the life of the YouTuber. We're doing it better than you, and so I think I had this open path where I could become into the internet. Anyway, just to tie it back into i2Coalition, I was able to share my creativity, my vision with the world.
my audience found me. And as a Canadian who made something in her small little Toronto apartment, I was able to reach people. I had an authentic, vulnerable thought about the current condition and state of the world, and I was able to share it. And that is so cool. And I was able to share it without gatekeepers, you know, without people telling me whether my vision was good enough. I found my audience and they found me, and I've got this beautiful honesty feedback loop, and they hold me accountable, and we've created this beautiful community. And I'll wrap up in a second, but I do interviews every now and then, and people ask me, oh, you know, now that you've gone viral, now that you've built this business, now that you're, you know, you're getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views per video, are you gonna make a TV show? And because everybody thinks like, oh, she's gonna move to TV. The realities are like, I've got my own TV show. Like in Canada, the numbers I get are, these are TV show numbers, you know, and I've got my audience, and I get to control, and I get to share exactly what I want to share with the people that I want to share it with. And I just think that is so cool and beautiful. So I want to thank you guys once again for making it such that people that like me, who have, as corny as it sounds, who have a dream to create and to share their vision with the world, that you allow us to do so in a free and open manner, so that we can find our audience. So thank you again, and thank you for letting me celebrate with you, because I think this was really awesome.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Oh, of course.
It actually made me think,
Yeah.
when, you know, that story that we told about Daryl Issa, the sort of inciting incident for our organization, one of the people that we were working with very early on fighting that battle, his name is Alexis Ohanian, he's one of the co-founders of Reddit, and he was the keynote speaker for our very first
No way.
one of these fly-ins.
No way.
A number of different years ago. He wrote a book called Without Your Permission, which tells the story in part about our little fight that we had there. And I think that the title, what you were saying about sort of not having gatekeepers, reminded me of the whole permissionless innovation type thing that we've been talking about very early on. And
Yes.
hopefully the things that we do in this industry.
Yes. Wow.
Thanks for acknowledging
Very
that.
cool.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
incredible.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
So we have one more legislative award to give. Okay, so fantastic. To provide our next award, I am going to ask Alyssa Starzak from Cloudflare to come up and introduce our next awardee.
Well, you know, you didn't give me a tough act to follow. There's nothing. And then I have to go out to Google. I'm not even gonna, I think I have to give up right there. But actually, the second award we're presenting today, from a legislative standpoint, is for Representative Anna Eshoo. And I think, you know, all of the themes that we touched on, this idea that the internet is made up of lots of different players, are things that Anna Eshoo has championed throughout her career. And I think when we look at the things that she's focused on, we look at the realities of how she's kind of thoughtfully looked at questions of intermediary liability or privacy, or thinking about what it looks like in a pandemic from a privacy situation. She's someone that we really think helps build the world that enables creators like you. And I think from our standpoint, that is something we should also champion as i2Coalition. And so we're so excited today. The other thing, of course, she does, which we will see in a minute, she hires phenomenal staff who's actually going to come accept the award today. So I want to thank you so much to Stuart, who's coming to accept the award. Representative.
All I will say is thank you. I didn't bring a prepared remark to thank, but on behalf of Congressman Eshoo, thank you so much to the IIC. Congratulations on 10 years. Hopefully, I don't know if she wants to be a congressman in 10 years, but if she does, another good 10 years.
Okay, now we're moving to the part of our program where we are giving out our final 2 awards. Both of those are community awards. We're returning people within our own community that we're honoring. And so we'll have 2 community awards, and I'll move into quick closing comments, and then we can get back to having some things together. But I'm very excited about this next part of the program, and the awardee that we're going to be focused on right now is our good friend John Berry of the Green Olive Tree. This is the one area where I'm going to actually read because there was another individual on our board who was going to give the award, and he had travel delays and was unable to make it here, and I wanted to honor the way that he wanted to present this, so we're going to go ahead and read the award read the words that he put together. So the Internet Infrastructure Coalition named its Entrepreneurialism Award for respected industry entrepreneur Carl Zimmerman, who was the CEO and founder of member company Steadfast. Now, if you'll see actually around here, Carl passed a couple of years ago. We named the award after him. Some information about Carl, who was our dear friend, is around here. And if you want to take this and read a little bit about him, please do. We miss him dearly. He was a friend to many in the internet infrastructure industry. Carl was an honest broker of managed cloud services, garnering deep respect among his clients and peers alike. Under his leadership, Steadfast achieved a strong reputation for high quality and deep integrity. His story is exactly the kind of story that we at i2Coalition exist to champion. Work hard to make sure internet policies continue to allow for individuals with a dream to be able to build that company without burdensome regulations that would set the bar too high for them to cross. Our award recipient this year is another clear example of this kind of entrepreneur. John Berry built Green Olive Tree in the early days of the commercial internet after serving in the United States Navy, where he was stationed at U.S. Naval Nuclear Power Plant for 20 years. John notes that his naval upbringing has taught him to bring honor, courage, and commitment to all that he does. He's clearly somebody who knows how to serve others. For him, the internet's infrastructure has proven natural fit. In becoming a managed web hosting service provider, John made it clear that he was not just the hosting provider of people's websites, but that while keeping their businesses alive and helping them grow, he was standing as a protector of their hopes and dreams. We in this industry understand that the digital economy sits on our networks and in our data centers. The world needs thoughtful, service-oriented leaders like John Berry to continue to stand as a protector of people's dreams. John has been a leader in eco-friendly hosting and has made significant contributions to the environment. John was also one of the original 38 business leaders who came together as founding members to start i2Coalition 10 years ago. We're hoping that in making the decision to bet on us, he was that i2Coalition too has been fighting to be of service to the people as we work to make the internet a better place. We are proud to invite John Berry, founding member of i2Coalition and kindred spirit, to come accept i2Coalition's Carl Zimmerman Internet Entrepreneur Award.
That is so not me. Public speaking is probably one of my least favorite things to do, which I'm sure you'll figure out in a minute. I want to say thanks to my wife, Lori. She puts up with what we all know is the 24/7, 365 schedules that we have to maintain to keep the internet up. The internet never sleeps, as we know. So it's the 2 a.m. phone calls, and it's the, I may be in Mexico, but I'm still looking at my phone every day. I mean, it's easily been 20 years plus that I've not gone a day without checking my email or doing something for someone. I want to thank my family. So my dad's here, my stepmom's here, one of my children are here. I'm actually a 4th generation entrepreneur. My great grandfather owned a grocery store way back. I don't even know the dates, but obviously it was a while back. 2 of my grandfathers, one owned a sporting goods business and the other owned a photography studio. And then my dad had his sporting vehicle business back in the early 70s, and a little bit ahead of his time, I think, in terms of that. We didn't really know what ATVs were in 1972, but by God, he was trying to push them. And then my mom took over the photography studio for me. So I had a lot of exposure to running my own business, which from a very early age, I knew that was what I wanted to do. But before I even realized that, I had my first exposure to computers in 7th grade, which I'm sure you can tell was more than a little bit of time ago. It was an old TRS-80 Model 1, and I just got my hands on that thing and I just fell in love. I knew, I could tell this computer what to do, and it just did it. And if it did it wrong, it's because of what I told it. It wasn't because of any attitude it had. And for the next couple of years, I spent every Saturday, most Sundays at the local Radio Shack, just playing on computers because they were expensive. I didn't have one in my house. So I got a couple of years of experience doing that. And then I got to high school and we started playing with Apple IIs. And speaking of modems, my first modem was 300 baud. I didn't have a 66 baud, but I had a 300 baud. And I found out what bulletin board systems were in the early 80s. And for those of you that don't know, bulletin board systems were how we communicated just people to people way before, obviously, we had the internet. It was just, 2 or 3 people, or sometimes 40 or 50 people, and we would just get on with some messages to each other and emails and play games and all that stuff. And so, fast forward, I joined the Navy in 1987. As Christian said, I spent 20 years in the nuclear power program, which was not terribly computer related, but in the early 90s, I did start my own bulletin board system. It was a for-profit bulletin board system. I had 24 phone lines coming into my house, 24 modems sitting there blinking 24/7. Had a great time, and I did that from like 91 to 96, 97. And that was when we all started getting Unix shell accounts. We started playing with the precursor to the internet. Before we had web, we still had the internet. And that was how we were all talking together. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be the next big thing. Bulletin boards are kind of done. And so I shut down the bulletin board system, and then in around 2002, I started Green Olive Tree, and we did small web hosting and did a little bit of web design and that kind of thing. And the business has just grown since then, and it's been a tremendous success. And I got to turn what was a lifelong hobby into a good vocation and a nice service business that I thoroughly enjoy. And I've got lots of years left in me, so I'll be doing this for a while. My current projects, I do Green Olive Tree, obviously, but I'm also the executive director of an art show in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I am on the cusp of opening my first tattoo studio. I believe firmly in diversification. Just in case everything doesn't pan out, I've got a backup plan. But lastly, I want to thank the I2C. I was in the room on the day we had our first meeting in 2012. It wasn't 1980. Yeah, 2012 in Boston, and we were talking about SIPA and POPA and SOPA, and back then, as it was today, I mean, we spent so much time over the past couple of days talking about DMCA and Section 230, because those things were wildly important to us back then, and they are wildly important to us now. And I really am not up to speed on policy and legislation and things like that. So the I2C has been fabulous because it's got our back in terms of keeping track of those things for us. And so it's just awesome what Christian does and his group does. And so I'm real grateful to them for everything you guys do. So thank you very much.
Very last award of the afternoon is actually named after this gentleman who's sitting right here. It's the Ron Yakovitis Award. It's the Community Leadership Award. And we awarded it, we named it after Ron because Ron was up here long before we were trying to teach legislators, regulators how the internet works. They didn't do stupid stuff about stuff. And so we want to honor his legacy of beating us here and teaching us how to do something. And to do this quick award, for which we have a video presentation because our awardee could not join us, is Graham Button, our chairman.
Congratulations on the chair of the I2C board, Christian. Thank you, Ron Yakovitis, for demonstrating the values that we're trying to celebrate here as part of the Community Leadership Award. This year, we're giving it to Tobias Sattler, who is sort of a stalwart in the industry for a very long time and a friend of mine. We work together a lot in the ICANN world. And aside from lots of great work that he did in sort of domain space, he also produced sort of two key resources for the community. A website that collected events for the community, as well as another one that helped explain domain names to the general public. And so these were delightful resources that he maintained. And then at some point, as some people luckily do, he managed to escape the DNS industry. And as he was doing so, he donated those resources to the I2C so that we could keep them going for the, the general public. And so for that delightful reason, we're giving him the Ron Yakubudis Community Leadership Award.
A very good evening to all. My journey with computers started 30 years ago. Ever since then, I've been interested in how they work. Learning how to program was one essential step to gaining a deeper understanding. I built my first website and ran some smaller projects. That led me to join Siemens to further develop my skills, especially on computers and networks. Through my work at United Domains, I have developed a great passion for the issues of the internet, may it be business-wise, policies, or security. I want to give back what I've learned, and this was the reason for setting up my projects such as Domain Name Basics, My Next Events, or CyberSec, or engaging in ICANN and IETF working groups, as well as working with the i2Coalition. I thank my family for being the pillars of support. I thank all my friends and mentors for guiding me, and I want to express my sincere thanks to the i2Coalition for awarding me. Thank you.
But actually, this is not the last bit of recognition we need to do today. As we've noted, this is the 10th anniversary of the Internet Infrastructure Coalition, and that's worth celebrating. However, it would not be worth celebrating without the efforts of Christian and David Sneed. I can get you both. So we've got some recognition for these guys to do.
Wow.
Where'd David?
David,
David.
go out.
So, is the Zoom working?
Yes.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do with these two guys is we've got a message from some German friends at ECO, and I think we're going to pass over to Lars to say hello.
Guys, we're here in Cologne. We are having our general annual assembly, and it's 10 p.m. tonight in Germany, and we just awarded the most innovative and most successful members of the ECO Association. We are sending our warmest regards. Congratulations to your 10th anniversary. We are so grateful about the cooperation with you guys. We hope you have a wonderful day. Christian and everyone in DC, all the best from Cologne.
Hi there, it's Thomas Rickard. Hi everyone. Now, I remember when I met David more than 10 years back, before I2C was founded. And we thought that it would be great to have an organization in North America that we could team up with. And we subsequently did. And I think we're adding a lot of value for members in the EU as well as in America by advising them about latest developments in Europe as well as in the US. And we very much appreciate the collaboration between the organizations that we have matured over time. We're doing transatlantic dialogues. We're doing a lot of stuff for our mutual membership. And we found a lot of friends in your organization, and including the two of you and Hillary and your entire team. So we have champagne in front of us, which you can't see, but actually we're toasting to you guys. Have a great celebration, and to the next 10 years.
That's amazing. Some wonderful remarks and champagne from our friends in Germany. That's exciting. I can't wait to toast them.
I'm not done.
You're not done.
But wait. So I think we should get Elizabeth Frazee up here as well. As she's been with and supporting the I2C since the very beginning. So I'm gonna leave you guys to speeches, but very briefly. I think you guys collectively need to be extremely proud of what you've built and achieved over the past 10 years. It's a remarkable accomplishment. Literally the entire internet owes you a debt of gratitude. So on behalf of the I2C board, of I2C staff, and the I2C membership, we would really like to thank you. You've created, nurtured, grown, and made crucial both an important voice and an incredible organization. Congratulations and thank you.
Wow.
I mean,
So I'm not here to accept an award. I am here to say Christian and David are just amazing. Before 10 years ago, we started working 11 years ago together, walking the halls of
That's
Congress
right.
on Soka Pitha
That's right.
and working with Congressman Ison and some of the other folks we've seen today. And it was this love of policy that they both showed that developed. And I remember Christian having the conversation that I think I like this stuff. I want to start an organization that represents the upstarts, the smaller companies. And that's how I2C was born, and you too, David. And so here's the 10 years.
Wow, thank you so much. Thanks to the board, thanks to Elizabeth. We absolutely could not have done this without you and your incredible team. Thanks to David for being my co-founder, partner in crime on all this. When we started out, we had a couple of conversations. I remember having a conversation with Ron Wyden and his team, and we said, how do we stop this? And he said, get more of you. and so we did, and then we talked to Jason Chaffetz, and he said, bring the nerds. And so we did. And that is basically how we have created an organization that has survived 10 years, but it has worked because our members have showed up to do the work. This is an organization that's led by members, and the policies that we do are come up with by members. We are doing the organizing, yes, but you're doing the work. And this is sort of a situation where the threats that are on the horizon, it's going to be by attrition that we win, because they are not going away, and so we can't either. Unfortunately, we need to be in it for another 10 years and beyond, because those who are looking to change the trajectory that we are on are certainly going to be here that long. So I thank you for continuing to work and to continuing to put the labor in to make sure that this stuff works. So cheers to you all.
Being so far away, we really appreciate the good job that TLS does in these legislative reports on the hearings. It makes us feel like we're here. It saves us a lot of airfare. So, yeah, tremendous job.
This concludes our program. Thank you all so much.